If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 223 of the HHH Racing Podcast. It is time. It is Pegasus week. Let's go. We're going to start handicapping the Pegasus Day card today with the 4 undercard races, the non-Pegasus races, races 6, 8, 9, and 10 with my great co-hosts. We're going to be rocking out the picks tonight. Please make sure you subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. And after you do that, hit that notification bell because we got a lot of stuff happening this week. A lot of stuff. Also, smash that like button. That'll help everyone here at the channel, and we'll send people to the HHH Racing Podcast. We'd appreciate it. On the bottom of the screen, at H Kravitz, my Twitter handle. Been sending out a lot of stuff on Twitter. Scroll the bottom of the screen, H Kravitz Horse at gmail.com. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Please check it out in those places. We got Power Picks below the bottom of the screen. If you haven't subscribed, it's only $4 a Saturday, and we are going to have a blowout edition this Saturday with a lot of details. All the information to subscribe is below the video player. It's a great deal. It's been on fire. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. It's one of the best tip sheets in the country. Just ask people that subscribe to it. Great website, hhhracingpodcast.com. This week, actually tomorrow and Saturday, what we got going on. We've got tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern is our flagship show. We are moving it to Wednesday because Thursday night are the Eclipse Awards in Palm Beach, Florida, and we don't want to bump into that. So our flagship show has been moved to Wednesday this week, 7:30 Eastern. We're going to go through in detail the 3 Pegasus races, the 2 turf, the 1 dirt. We're going to go through pick 5, ticket construction as well. And Tony Rollo of Crownsway Racing will also join us for a fantastic ownership opportunity. You don't want to miss that. And then right after our show, we got a doubleheader tomorrow, Bettin and Boozin, with host Kyle Roscoe and the gang. They're going to be giving you details about Championship Sunday, how to bet the great NFC and AFC championship games, including a pick 4 also Friday at Gulfstream. And then finally, on Saturday, we have a podcast, a pool party. Myself, Matt Miller, and Kyle Roscoe will be live at the Crazy Poor OTB in Villa Park, Illinois, and we'll be live on YouTube as well. The YouTube show starts at 3:45 Eastern. That's right, 3:45 Eastern is when the YouTube portion of the show starts. We're going to have a lot of fun there talking about the 3 Pegasus card races. We started with $1,000 last Travers Day, ended up with $5,900, and we gave a lot of people some nice scores out there. So if you're going to be in the Chicago area, you should join us at the Crazy Poor OTB in Villa Park, Illinois. Pete and Paul will probably be joining us at some point as well. All right, we've got some quick comments. Let's see what we got here. Nick Feldman, winter break is over. I'm back. Can't wait for the show. Nick, welcome back. We're having a great show. Ralph Conti, what's up, guys? Ready for a good show and some winners? We'll do our best. Christine Race, greetings, handicappers. Play of the day followers. Hope you get some good ideas for Pegasus Day. Nice new lead in message into the show. She's talking about the montage. Appreciate that. And Deanne, we're not familiar with you. Deanne, thanks for joining the show. Back in the saddle. Big day for Saturday. Last one, Richard Hens. Between the Fairgrounds guest last week and Raylu Calhoun, angle got me almost 10-1, or at least reinforced my thought. Congratulations, Richard, on that. All right, let's bring on my co-host. We are ready. First, from the East Coast and the state of Maryland, ready to rock it out tonight with some picks, is the one and only Pete Visco, an award-winning journalist from the Saratoga Special and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Paul Halloran. Guys, it's one of the biggest weekends of the year, one of the biggest racing days early in the season. It's Pegasus Day. Pete, how are you feeling tonight?
Feeling good. We got an excellent card, deep fields, not a bunch of big favorites. You can't ask for, I mean, it's not, the name horses aren't there, but I think that's maybe a good thing because it drew big fields and you have races, you don't see the 6-5 shots, the 8-5 shots in these. Well, we haven't seen the odds yet, but it doesn't seem like there's going to be like the 6-5, 8-5 shots littered across the sequences. So that's always exciting. By the way, I like the background. I like the background on this show. It's clean, it's clear, it's colorful. It gets you ready for Pegasus week.
It is Gulfstream. Paul, look out. The number 9 horse is about to run you over, Paul. Watch the number 9. Look out there. Paul, we had a very interesting day today. Why don't you tell everyone? I tweeted it out, but I'm sure not everyone saw the tweets or not everyone's on Twitter. Why don't you tell the audience what we did at about 5:15 Eastern time today?
Well, yeah, we were fortunate, Howard. You and I have been talking about this for a while, about trying to get one of the key players involved in this weekend, and happy to report that Todd Pletcher, who I think has a good chance of winning the Eclipse Award Thursday night. We talked about that last night. Todd was good enough to give us a half hour of his time, and I think it was an interview that went very well, and people are going to be glad to hear it. And I think at the end of the day, you're going to be able to say that during this past year, you had the Eclipse Award winning trainer on the show, because either Todd or Chad's going to win it, and we had both of them as of tonight.
We did. Todd was fantastic. I want to let everyone know at home, and this is breaking news actually. I am going to be putting the video. The Todd Pletcher interview will be out late Wednesday afternoon / early evening. That is when the video will be posted on YouTube. So we have 2 shows tomorrow night, guys. My plan is to put it out before the show so people could watch it before the show if they want, or after. I don't want to bump into Thursday at all. Thursday is the Eclipse Awards. So again, highly recommend, whenever you watch this, if you're listening, whenever, even if it's not live, spread the word. We have a half an hour interview with Todd Pletcher. It'll be on our YouTube channel. He talks about his Pegasus Day runners, his 3-year-olds, and Pete, he's got a 3-year-old. I think you know the horse we're talking about. He's got a 3-year-old that's not named Forte that he likes. Yeah. And I'm glad he likes, because me likey a lot. So we asked him about that horse. We'll bury the lead. We're not going to tell you who it is. It's a tease, right, Paul? That's the word. It's a tease. And then we also talked about the Eclipse Award. So again, Todd Pletcher interview exclusively on this channel coming out tomorrow, Pete. He was great. And it's awesome to get people like that on the show.
Yeah, it's an exciting get. I mean, especially this week, especially with the Eclipse Awards coming up, with it being a big race weekend. So perfect timing. And it's nice to hear the trainer talk about their horses before a big weekend. So you can't get any better than that. Did you tell? By the way, did you tell him all 3 of us picked him to win the Eclipse? I mean, you gotta butter him up a little bit. At least tell him.
I told him I voted for him for sure.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Well, that's why he's going to win Thursday, because the Eclipse Awards are like Chicago elections. Paul was able to vote 75 times, so it guarantees. It guarantees Pletcher.
Whatever works, right? Whatever works.
Win, right? We got Cindy Play Horses. Had a tough weekend with the ponies. Sorry, Cindy. But got the first NHL coach fired at plus 6,600. I'm not really a huge hockey guy.
Boudreaux, right? Boudreaux, right?
Boudreaux of the Canucks.
All right. Congratulations, Cindy, on that one. We'll take any bets we can get. All right, guys. Unusual tonight. No 5 races. Only 4 races we're going to preview. No ticket construction. So we got plenty of time to talk about these 4 races. And Lon, we were excited too. Lon, thanks again. Can't miss that interview. Lon, check it out. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow. And what I'd really appreciate, or we'd all appreciate it, please spread the word about this podcast. Like, don't just tell people that there's a Pletcher interview. Tell them there's a Pletcher interview, and then tell them to subscribe and to hit the notification bell, because we want our viewership to grow. That helps us tremendously. Guys, let me take the banner off the screen here at the bottom of the screen. We've got, again, 4 races to talk about. We're going to talk about race 6, 8, 9, and 10. And I believe, guys, if you listen very carefully, I believe the horses are about to hit the track. Yes, they are.
You're
Okay.
getting better.
So
You're getting a little better. That was a little better.
how was that? Was that a better
That was
transition?
better than last week. So we're getting there.
Pete, I practiced for 3 hours this morning to make sure I got that right. All right, guys. It's race 6 is going to start off the stakes portion, and we're only looking at stakes races, ladies and gentlemen, on Saturday's card. The first of the stake races is race 6. It's the La Proviant Stakes, presented by Don Julio. It's a grade 3. It's at about 1:20 Eastern Standard Time. It's 150K in the key. This is restricted for older fillies and mares. They're going 1.5 miles on the turf. Note, everyone, the rails are out for this race, 56 feet. Some people believes that helps speed a little bit. I just want to mention whether you believe that or not. Let me get the banners up on the screen, gentlemen. There we go. We got it right here. Here we go. There we go. Of course, it's the first time that Pete and Paul are seeing these picks of each other. Now, interestingly enough, ladies and gentlemen, no morning lines. The morning lines have not come out yet. There's the field. It's a field of 8. I am pretty confident in saying the number 5, Adventuring, will be the favorite. At least that's my opinion. Let's go to the PPs. Let's do this. And let's go to Pete Visco first. Pete, first of all, we're used to handicapping without morning lines. It is a little more difficult to talk about these races without the morning lines, just because sometimes we bet our opinions based on the morning lines and getting value. So we are speculating, Pete. You are going with the 5 Adventuring on top.
Yeah, no, it's funny because we always say no morning line is great when you're doing sort of your first pass through, or you're just sort of making your initial picks. But I hate coming to the show with a final decision without that, just because, like you said, because then it'll come out and you have the first 3 favorites, 1, 2, 3, and you're like, well, shit, I'm not gonna play those necessarily. But for Adventuring, I mean, it's pretty obvious. You have the Cox Rosario combo. He's got the best buyers in the field by a pretty decent amount. He's got a good, like you talked about, maybe speed. There's not a ton of speed in this race. He's versatile enough to where, or she, I should say, there's an early drink for this one.
Oh boy, that is an early one.
That is an early one.
Just like me last night, we get it out early, right?
I mean, now it'll be smooth sailing. But I think she's versatile enough where I don't think she has to be on the lead. But if no one else goes and she does, she can definitely get on the lead and win. I mean, you saw it 3 back, 4 back. She had sort of a nice stalking trip early on the dirt. So I just feel like there's a lot going for this one and has really improved. I like the improvement from 2021 to 2022 that we saw. So maybe, I mean, she's only 5, so maybe there's a little bit more of an improvement there. And then she seems like the top choice in this field.
Pete, are you worried at all about the number 4 Beside Herself on the lead? And you think Adventuring can stalk this one and go by?
Yeah, no, I would be if I thought Adventuring had to have the lead, but since I think she can sit off, and I'm not sure Beside Herself looks a little bit like potentially Cheap Speed, where I'm not going to guarantee that horse is going to hold, then I'm okay picking Adventuring if she does sit off and doesn't hook up and gets into some sort of speed duel. But if Rosario's patient, and Rosario, that's not really his game to, he's not the speed duel type. He's more than comfortable sitting off the pace.
It's interesting you said Beside Herself is Cheap Speed, because we knew you'd say that. So we said that to Todd on the interview. You said Pete Visco said your horse is Cheap Speed. How do you feel about that, Todd Fletcher? No, I'm just kidding, of course. But Pete, we did talk about, again, every Pletcher runner we talked about in the interview. And I'd rather really not say what Pletcher said, because I'd rather people watch the interview and glean what they want, from them for themselves, Pete, instead of giving people my opinion of what Todd said. Well, Let's just say they want this horse on the lead. Adventuring, excuse me, probably won't get the lead. I'll just leave it at that, but more information coming from Todd.
And by the way, I actually thought the time form early pace figures were a little funky in this race.
I
agree.
See,
right? Bowdraw is actually with the 101, the leading, and Beside Herself is sitting back with the 78, and Adventuring is sitting with the 91. This is the one that was sort of a note, was like the speed per time form was confusing to me, and I wasn't sure if that's how the race would actually play out.
Paul, I know you love to criticize as well as I do. What the hell is Bowdraw doing in this race? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No disrespect. I guess that is sort of disrespectful to the connections, but really? What do you
I mean, an 0 for 9 trainer for a 6 for 60 jockey for a horse that's
best buyers at 60?
one stakes, 2 stakes start. He's run 7th and 6th, shipping over from Tampa. Has only run on turf. I guess you could say his best race he ever ran was on turf. If you want to find.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't usually say that kind of thing. I don't know. I hate when these
There's no
horses.
turf breeding. Oh, maybe who says he's not going to be
Well,
scratched?
part of hey Paul,
no
right?
turf breeding.
Paul, you think sometimes, and Howard, that sometimes that's why some of these trainers do have pretty low percentages because maybe they don't place their horses. So it's not the meanest thing because maybe it's just, hey, if you placed your horse better, you wouldn't be 1 for 32 lifetime. Maybe you'd have a little bit better chances.
I just want to point that out. But Pete, Paul, back to the pick. You and I have the same thought here with personal best.
Yeah, I like this horse. It's that last race was taken off the turf and run on the Tapeta. Kind of a funky race. The horse made the middle move and then drifted a little and ended up getting caught by 2 horses. But I actually think he's going to be she's going to be more effective stretching out. It looks to me like a 1 5/16 race at Kentucky Downs when she broke her maiden was a really good race. I think being inside, Irad will get the right trip, and I think he will be able to pounce and get the lead when he wants. And I don't see any monster closes she's going to have to hold off. So I do like the 2 here.
Yeah, this is her last race on the Tapeta. It doesn't look very good, I will say, but this is not what she wants to do. She doesn't want to be on the lead. She doesn't want to probably be on the Tapeta either, although a lot of them handle the turf. I think she's going to sit. I feel like the way you do. I think she's going to sit right off of the speed between the 4 and adventuring. I love the race 2 back. We can't show it, guys, unfortunately, because there was a spill in that race. That was the race where Jalen Samuel came out, and that's the race that Trevor McCarthy got hurt in, I believe, Paul and Pete. So we can't. I believe, I'm not 100% positive, but I believe that's true. So we can't show that race. I'd be happy to show it, but Naira didn't want it.
Yeah, you're right. You are right, Howard.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this horse is improving. I love this spot for Irad. He's going to save ground every step of the way and tip out. To me, I'd be surprised if 2 or 5 don't win, guys. Pete, you've got the 6 in third. Excuse me, second. I have the 6 in third. Quick thoughts on the number 6 horse, Transient, for Safi Joseph, who wants to have a monster day on his home track.
Yeah, and if you look at you have it on the screen. If you look at this horse, once Safi sort of got her in his barn, I mean, you see that first one was a nice race, then progressed a little bit, got a win going long, 1 3/8, which you like. I mean, it's never gone 1.5 miles, but she's gone 1 3/8, which is obviously close enough. And then they put her on the synthetic, and she goes to the lead and was on a super. I mean, look at that pace. Look at those numbers: 154 and then 118. So super hot pace. Just maybe not the best of ideas there, and everything going against her. I mean, look, out of the sea, the stars. This horse should love going long. There's no concerns with the distance. Yeah. So I think for me, I was actually sort of these 3 are, and they're probably going to be this way in the odds. These 3 are basically all even for me on the top line. I was sort of hoping to see how the odds shake out. So I really like this horse just because, like you said, Safi's going to have her ready. The distance should be no problem. She seems to have taken to the turf again, when she wasn't as great, maybe in 21, but in 22, those 2 races, I mean, you can't really see the buyers are a little bit low compared to, say, adventuring. That's the only question. Yeah. But again, it's not going to take a big step up. I mean, you feel this race is going to be like a low 90s, maybe somewhere around there. So it's not a big step up.
It's E5 racing. I think she's interesting with the right trip. I think she's a small notch below the other 2 that I have on top, but not by a lot. And you know how these races go, these 1.5 mile races. Nick Feldman mentioned about adventuring, maybe preferring Yielding or Kentucky Downs. We'll have to see. Adventuring is the horse to beat on paper, but not by a lot, guys. Not by a lot. And so I think it's probably between those horses. Let's go ahead and move on to the next race. The next race that we're going to take a look at. Whoops, sorry, going the wrong direction. Is race 8. So race 7 is a handicap. It's a nice race, but it's on the poly. It's not a stake race. Race 8 is the inside information. As I go ahead and switch the banners as well. There we go. Again, the first time these guys are seeing our picks on the bottom of the screen. The inside information is about 227 Eastern. It's 200,000 in the purse, 7 furlongs. Again, older and filly mares. This time it's on the dirt. We don't have morning lines. I am 99% positive the morning line favorite, and should be the morning line favorite, is the number 4 obligatory. One of my daughters, still my daughter, although she hasn't done quite as well lately, for Mott and Ortiz. Paul, we're going to go to you first. You and I are chalking out here with obligatory. This is a tons easier spot than she's been in recently.
Yeah, and I am not, I don't pick her blindly every time like you do, Howard. So it's probably more newsworthy that I have her on top. But I will tell you the key, I think, to this race as far as obligatory. This 10 horse is really fast. And with Paco on him from the outside, this horse is a dead send. And we know that obligatory needs some pace to run into. And I think because the 10 is in this race, and the 10 won't be the only one to go, but I think, the 2 has speed, for example. I think the 10, as long as the 10 breaks, I think it almost guarantees that obligatory will get the honest pace to run into. And I just think obligatory, she mows them all down in the stretch.
2 for 2, Paul, also at Gulfstream. She likes the track. It's a little counterintuitive, Paul, because I wouldn't think obligatory would be the kind of horse that would like Gulfstream. She's more of a closer type, but apparently she does. I'm not any concern at all about the layoff, Paul, for you?
Not with the trainer named William Mott on the sheet, no.
Okay, I tend to agree. I just think she's tons the class in this field. I really don't have anything creative with obligatory. I do it. Well, let's go to Pete. Pete, I'm assuming you sent that incorrectly. No. Wait a minute.
I was just looking, and I gave you the wrong
Did
number.
I make a mistake?
No. I just looked at my sheet that I sent you, and I sent instead of the 9, I like the 7 actually. Which
741. Is that correct?
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, wow, last leaf. You gotta.
I know. I don't. It's funny. I think last leaf was my 4th horse, which is why I was maybe I had them all written down and then just wrote the wrong one in the email. But yeah, I like.
Let's talk about Mary Quite Contrary, and we're going to show a replay here in a second because it relates to the 3 horse, the Pletcher horse in this race. Mary Quite Contrary, Pete, as honest as they come at Gulfstream, keeps getting better. This is an upset possibility.
I love obligatory too. I mean, the gray closers, they're right in my wheelhouse. I love her, and she's great. And the only hope would be beating her probably in this field is if she does sometimes tend to get too far back and maybe make the race a little bit more difficult for herself. So that would be the only hope, since I assume she's going to be a pretty big favorite. With this one, I just think this one maybe could get the jump since Panici took over. I mean, look at this horse. Never done anything wrong, has 1 second. And then every time Panici is up, wins. I mean, I know the class is a little bit short for this field. The buyers would need to step up, but I just like the fact, the horse is favored every time and wins relatively convincingly for a horse that comes off the pace and is always closing into slow paces. Whereas here, like Paul said, I think with the 10, with a couple of the other horses, I think we're going to get a pretty honest pace. So maybe this one can just get the jump on obligatory at what I think might be a half decent price too. Yeah, and likes Gulfstream and loves the distance. So
yeah, I think obligatory is going to be 4 to 5. So anyone else is going to be at least 3 to 1, right?
Yeah.
I think we got a lot of comments we got to bring up here. First of all, Sean wants to know, Pete, where's your Keelan shirt? Because Paul and I are rocking out, just coincidentally, everyone, the same Keelan.
I do not have a Keelan shirt, Sean. But if anybody wants to send one into the show, feel free.
Tom, I had respect for you until this comment. Wow. 173. He thinks obligatory is vulnerable off the layoff. Don't talk about my daughter that way, Tom. Come on now. I don't know what you're talking about. Deanne also likes the 7 under that we're talking about. It's obligatory time, baby, for Onder. And then Noah Megger, our good young friend, guys, student at UK, is very interested to see what Pletcher says about colorful mischief. Paul, he talked about colorful mischief on the show, correct?
It is. It's worth tuning in. Yes, he did.
Well, speaking of color, this is a great segue to talk about this replay. And I'm going to let you talk about this replay, Pete, because you like the 7. Colorful mischief is the 4, and there's a crucial part on the turn that changes everything. And it won't be too long. I'll let it play through again. Colorful mischief is the 4, and Mary Quite Contrary here is the 7. Talk about what happens here. I'm sure you saw this on the turn, Pete.
Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, you see that, and the 7 is running the race that you would hope, and you see the 7 is getting into a clearer lane here, whereas the 4, as you can see, is sort of getting right about.
That's a problem.
I mean, you just, I mean, and again, that's just once you're there and you take the chance of trying to squeeze through the rail, that's going to happen sometimes. I mean, it's IRAD, so it's not, it's not like it was some novice jockey trying to do that, but it happens. But I think the 7 ran the race that I would, Mary Quite Contrary ran the race that I would expect. The 4 was coming after getting shut off like that. And I like the 4 as well. The 4 was pretty close to making my top 3. Actually was my second choice. So it was like in the mix for the win, but I just sort of went with the 7 because I like that. I like a similar race this time.
My feeling, guys, is if Colorful Mischief gets through, she wins. And I'm basing that, Pete, on the fact the way the Colorful Mischief closed in the stretch. We don't know. We're just speculating. But to me, Colorful Mischief was going as well as the 7 in the stretch. And in theory, if she gets through the rail, she's 2 lengths ahead, a length and a half ahead. So that's just my opinion. I don't have Mary Contrary anywhere. I think she can definitely be in the money. I would sort of be surprised if she won this race, Paul. But that's just my opinion. You've got her 3rd, the 7 horse.
Yeah, I get it. I use the 7 3rd. I would be shocked if the 7 beat the 3 in this race.
Wow. Okay.
If you look at what IRAD did, he went wide belatedly. It looked like he was getting a good trip, as Pete just pointed out. You watch it down the backstretch, but when you're down inside like that, one of 2 things is going to happen. It's either going to open or not. And if it looks like it's not going to open, you have to do something about it. And the 7 was in the clear. Again, I think IRAD probably made a calculated error there, a rare error for him. And I don't think it's going to repeat itself.
Guys, I have a very interesting horse for second. Nick Feldman. I know you're listening, Nick Feldman. I agree with you, Nick. I think the 6 is very interesting here. Jag Warrior. This is Romans and Alvarado. If you look carefully at this horse, guys, if you toss out the last race, I don't think this is a 2-turn horse. If you toss out the last race, this horse was improving. I understand she just broke her maiden on September 17th, but got a 79, then ran a bang-up race at Keeneland into a fast pace, guys going 7 with an 85, and then regressed. Okay, I'm guessing she didn't want 2 turns, guys. If she doesn't want 2 turns, she was upwardly mobile. I think she's fascinating underneath. I don't think she can win, but we know Romans can win. He just had a huge win with Cyclone Mischief, and he spots his horses real well, guys. I think this is a interesting underneath play. Did you give any consideration to this horse at all, either one of you?
I did a little bit.
I did not.
Yeah, but then I didn't like there were some Dale Roman stats I didn't like. And then eventually it just came to, I like the other horses better. I mean, it's to me underneath. I think this, when you have a big favorite, anything could happen, and you can get a horse underneath who can at a price, because the other horses might try to do something. This one's going to get a logical trip, is pretty tactical, is going to be there. So maybe if the other ones are more coming from the back and just don't get there, and obligatory rolls by on the outside, and this one just sort of clunks up for second, third, it definitely can happen.
Tipping out a big price horse to finish 2nd or 3rd. Yes. Baseline beater last week at Fairgrounds. But did I have the horse on top? No. This is important. Not everyone's a Brisnet guy, but for those you don't know, this E2 that Nick is referring to, he said Brisnet E2 pace figure 106 stands out in this huge field for the 6. Love those E2 pace figures in these sprints. That's a second quarter time. It's almost like a turn time. It's how fast the horse runs sort of in that second or middle quarter or that middle part of the race, sort of to start the turn and move on. So that's an underrated angle. If you like Brisnet, we use DRF here. But Nick, thanks for the information about the E2 pace figure. We deep dive here on the show. Any other thoughts, guys, in this race before we move on?
No, I just think that makes the case for obligatory stronger, Howard. If the 6, it doesn't necessarily look all that fast on these PPs. If he is that fast, and Nick brings up a good point, the 10 is going. There is no doubt the 10 is being sent here. So if you're in Howard's family picnic with obligatory, that's music to your ears.
Guys, please don't tell me there's any possible way the 10 can wire the field.
No, I don't think so.
She's not classy enough, right? She's not classy enough, and she doesn't want 7, right?
Howard, I was watching the Charlestown. The Charlestown card was the Derby night. It was the night before the Travers.
Yeah.
I was watching as we were all working in the Saratoga special office. The track that night was absolutely speed favoring to the hilt, and disqualified from purse money. The trainer got nailed on a drug violation for that race. Okay, so. No, the 10 can't win, but the 10 can go.
Guys, I do have a 3 to 5 shot in this race, though. We just talked about. Are you ready? 3 to 5 that Paco will do the Paco look back on the turn and then watch horses go by him in the stretch. 3 to 5.
You got to see stuff. Yeah. Hey, by the way, can you put Nick's comment up real quick?
Oh, sure. Sorry, I went off the comments. Man, Nick's getting how many comments? What is Nick?
Nick's
the president?
Nick's doing his homework. I like
Go ahead,
Nick, no. So I wanted to mention. You said you didn't want to mention anything else. I actually like the one.
Can you read it, P?
Oh yeah. Anyone like the Cox horse on the rail? No mention unless I missed it. Famed the one for. I like this horse. I think this is one where I wanted to see the odds. I'm really not sure how the odds are going to shake out in this one, but if this one is at all a decent price from the rail, again, is either tactical or can close. So again, if we get a hot pace and, the 10's going to blow right by everybody, I think this one just needs another move forward, but it's really good in 2022 and hopefully is coming back at 4. You're getting a 3 to 4 year old move here. So a 4-year-old from 3, that can definitely lead to an improvement as opposed to some of the other ones who are going from sort of 4 to 5. And then, it's Cox, and I had the stat. Cox was 33% win, 72% in the money in dirt sprints at Gulfstream. He's won 4 of the last 6, and he actually won this race last year as well. So there's a lot to like about that one. Just want to see, again, I just want to see what the odds are for this one. I'm really interested behind obligatory.
I would never, question someone who wants to take a longer price. I'm guessing 8 to 1 morning line.
That's what I was thinking.
I do not like the rail going 7 at Gulfstream. Do not. They get shuffled back. Speed horse, I wouldn't mind. I don't know. We'll see.
And again, I think it's a tough win, but it's one that
underneath.
I think if you can get underneath, if you think obligatory is easy, then who knows?
Why not? Let's go to race 9, guys. There's the picks on the bottom of the screen. Race 9. This is the WL McKnight Stakes. Guys, I remember this race best when it was at Calder. I love this race when it was at Calder. It was like in December, I think, at Calder, if I recall, and it was like huge fields. And I missed that hedge at Calder / I'm drawing a blank. That / was Gulfstream West, they called it for a while. Ridiculous. Anyway, 200,000. Let's put it on the screen here. 200,000 in the purse. They're going a mile and a half. This is for the older males. You see the field here. There are some very big names here, guys. Very big names. Horses we've seen for a while. There's also a horse in here I loved about a month ago and was horrible. I don't know if you remember who that's going to be, but we'll talk about him in a minute. It's a field of 12 with an also eligible. I'm going to, I don't know who the morning line favorite's going to be, guys. I'm going to say Channel Maker will be the morning line favorite. Just a guess at 3 to 1. Again, I'm completely guessing here. Pete, let's go to you first. You're going to go with. I'm sorry.
I said, "Oh, great! I have no confidence in my picks in this race, so I'm so glad to be going first."
This is a tough one. This is a tough race. 11.
Oh, sorry.
Red
Yeah.
Knight,
I have the 11 Red Knight. Yep.
the wily veteran. This race, Pete, is like many races on Saturday. Large fields, really tough. I tweeted this out, and I really do believe this. Chris, let me put us on screen here. Chris Larmy, very well-known handicapper, excellent contest player. He's Derby 1592 on Twitter, Derby 19, whatever it is, 1592. Tweeted this out, and I replied, I think this card overall, guys, is tougher than the Breeders' Cup card last November in terms of depth and in terms of competitiveness. There are a lot of races like this one, Pete, that are very difficult. Red Knight, give us what your morning line is on this horse, Pete, and then talk about Red Knight.
I mean, I assume this one just because of, I mean, when you're coming out of the Breeders' Cup, you've run in mostly graded stakes. He has a, pretty good history, pretty good pedigree, the good late form. I assume he's going to be, I don't know. I think the favorite, I was thinking more maybe a Bond around, I don't even know, 3-1 minimum, 7-2. I mean, this race was, I mean, I must have been down to like 6 horses and I didn't love any of them. The one thing you said where these are tough and it's a little tougher than the Breeders' Cup, it's because in some of these races, you don't know what you're getting, even from the better horses. And you're not confident in the picks that you're making because they're not consistent all the way through. Like this one, to go back to Red Knight, I mean, the one thing I like, obviously he's 7 out of 12 at the distance. So, that's no problem. He loves going the 1.5 miles. If you go 3 and 4 races back, I mean, those races can win this race pretty easily. Then goes to the Sycamore, where he's like in the parking lot basically, and still only finishes 8th, but only loses by a length and a half to some pretty good horses, including Temple, who that was his only good race in a while. And then you go to the Breeders' Cup Turf, and he was way just against it. I mean, probably shouldn't even really been in that field. So my thought is the only problem is now you're 9. You're coming off a little bit, not really a big layoff, but a few months. You're like, all right, at 9, is this one going to be ready to fire again? The one thing I did like is that he's been working steady and he's been working pretty solid his last 2. Nothing great, but I mean, it's a 1.5 mile race. He's not going to be running, bullet 59, 5 furlong works. But I like that he's still working steady. So hopefully he's still got a little fire in the old belly.
I mean, it's IRAD too. And
it's IRAD, yes.
It's a bad post, but he's just going to drop back anyway, so it's really not
I don't mind the
deal
post
either.
as much because it wasn't like he needed to be up close. There's no speed in this race. I mean, there's speed, maybe like Channel Maker, but he hasn't been the speed he used to be. So I don't know. Yeah, that was a very weak pick, but that's where I'm going.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through the field because there's Channel Maker, who by the numbers should be one of the favorites here and wants to be up close. Paul, before we talk about your top pick, for me, Red Knight was just more like he's an underneath type in this race. Father Time's going to catch up with him eventually. Maybe it won't be Saturday, but I don't know. You and I both are a little negative to this horse, aren't we?
Well, I know a little bit about this horse because I did. He is a New York bred who won the Open Stakes at Kentucky Downs, and I did cover that race for the New York Thoroughbred Breeders website remotely. Yeah. And Tom Egan, the breeder, Trinity Farm is Tom Egan from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, right up the street here. This horse was going to be retired. When they took him off after the John's Call at Saratoga in August of 21, he was hurt, and the plan was that he was not going to come back. They moved him over to they put him on the farm, and all of a sudden the folks at the farm said, you know what, he's starting to look like a racehorse again. And I will tell you this long distance turf, especially on the male side, nobody does it better than Mike Maker. Nobody. Okay. Which is why I have his other horse second in here. I would love to see Red Knight win. Of course, I always root for the New York bred. I don't think he will win, but he certainly, after it looked like he was going to be retired, came back with 2 wins, and then I don't know what happened in the Sycamore, as you said, Pete, and then the Breeders' Cup Turf was the Kentucky Downs race. I believe was a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Turf.
Yeah, it was.
So that's how we ended up in the Breeders' Cup Turf.
Yeah.
But
remember, that was also the race that Gufo was maybe or maybe not going to go, and he beat Gufo that day if you all recall. Let's go to your top choice. This is Pete's. I'm interested, guys, because I did not know what to do with this horse. I don't have Palo Alto anywhere. I'm guessing you like the pedigree here, Paul, because by the numbers, he's a tad too slow.
I like the pedigree. I agree with Pete in that there is no stick out in this race, and I think the favorite Pete could maybe go as high as 7-2 in this race.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there. You know, in a race, I kind of his numbers aren't terrible. You know, he's in the low 90s. Graham Motion and Frankie Dettori, you know, these mile-and-a-half races sometimes become jockey races. I'll take my chances with Dettori, who's flying across the country for this, and a few other mounts that I suspect we'll talk about tomorrow night. But yes, and Deanne points out any comments on the trainer change of Value Engineering. I don't know the history on it. All I know is that, again, Mike Maker is an absolute specialist with these horses. But yeah, I defaulted to I think the horse is close to being good enough. Coming off a total, I don't know what happened in that City Man race last time when I did I think a few of us liked City Man on New Year's Eve. But you know, has yet to win in the U.S. You're going to get a price. Price probably gets hurt a little by Dettori, but Graham Motion is, you know, he just does such a good job spotting his horses. Someone used that term earlier, so I am going to go with him, and I went with Value Engineering right behind.
I'll talk about Value Engineering in a second. Pete, I want you to talk about this horse, and then I'll comment on Value Engineering.
Yeah, mine was sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Mine was more of a Dettori play as well. The thing that was confusing, he's had 4 races here. The 2 going a mile, he was pretty tactical and a little closer and ran well. And then in the 2 going longer was way in the back. So now I'm hoping that maybe, so you're not really sure with this. I mean, it looks like this horse wants to be a little bit closer and a little bit more tactical. And so I think if Dettori is smart, and which he usually is, and he can have this horse a little bit closer, maybe you see a better result. And I think this horse has a good enough late kick. And again, if he's a little bit closer, I just don't understand the variation between being 11th and 8th as opposed to being 3rd and 4th and sitting up close. So it was purely a Dettori. Hopefully he just gives this horse a better ride in a field that I'm tossing my hands up in the air about.
Guys, I am totally against this horse, and I don't know how to say it any other way. I'll give you some reasons, which I could be wrong. Motion is one of the sharpest guys out there, right? We all agree. If he really thought this horse was a distance horse, he would have brought him to the States here and gone a distance. I mean, it's not like when he was in Europe, this horse was like a world beater at a distance. You go back to his earlier races, you know, they were okay going long. I mean, some good, some bad. His best race was the first in the States. He ran very well in that Pimlico race. But to me, this is more like a desperate kind of let's see if he can do it rather than I like him at the distance. And it's going to be Dettori, so his price is going to go down. I don't like this horse at all, guys. Let me talk about Value Engineering. Talk about a horse that I have not liked. If you guys recall, or maybe you don't, but I'm going to be honest. I have not liked this horse for a long time. And the main reason why I have not liked this horse for a long time is because he's been a money burner, guys. I mean, he burned a lot of money. I mean, just look at these odds here on the right side of the screen. Third by a length. He's just like, he's been a nibbler for a long time. Then was like going off form. And I was like, hell, well, this horse is done. And then what happens? What happens? There we go, Paul, right? Michael Maker takes over the training. And he ran, forget the 90. This is a race I think we talked about on the show, by the way, a month ago. Guys, he was wide as wide can be, like on every turn. I'm just going to show the first turn. I'm not going to show 2 minutes of this race. Value Engineering is the 10 here in this race. And by the way, Agitari is out here. You guys know the story with me and that horse, which I'll mention. He's a 12 right there. But anyway, Value Engineering breaks fine. Let me fast forward a little bit. Up, did I go too fast? Yeah, I went too fast. Okay, we got to see the first turn. He's in the pink, and I'm not really blaming the jockey here, but this is that was okay. This was the first turn. Sorry, it's a 3-turn race. Paul, this is not where you want to be. I don't care if it's dirt, sin, turf. He's legitimately 3 wide here all the way around the first turn. Let me fast forward just a little bit. Okay, there he is in pink. We'd all agree this is not the place to be, right?
Yeah, especially
And
three
even
turns, right? Especially when you go
turns,
three
getting
turns, you
pushed
don't
out a
need
little
that.
bit
Yeah.
here. This is like, I mean, how many horses win in this situation already? Not good. Fast forward. Okay, he's still wide. Not that wide, but fine. He's still losing ground, guys. And he's not drafting. He's not really drafting. Now he's in the 2 path. Okay. Take it to the stretch here. Look up. Sorry, he's out there on the back stretch. Okay, he's still wide, guys. He's making a big sustained move now. He was 3 wide. Now he's in the 2 path. And I'll go and fast forward even more. I just love how this was a very game effort. I understand the field is much better on Saturday. I didn't realize we were still on camera, guys. Sorry about that. Anyway, I love the way this horse fights. I mean, he's fighting. He's still accelerating. Again, I know the field is much better on Saturday, but for him to be this wide, guys, he's not losing ground here. This is not like a barely win kind of thing. He's semi drawing off. I mean, that was, to me, guys, that was a huge effort, in my opinion. Much better than the 90. It's Michael Maker. You might get a little bit of a price, because of the field here. And I think he's rounding back into form. I think Maker's got this horse going the right direction again. He's got back numbers. Give me 5 to 6 to 1. Absolutely. I know it's a long explanation, but any opinions, guys, before we move on?
Well, I used them. I want a 3 versus 7 people bet because you picked the 7 second. So I'd like to request a 3 versus 7 head up bet.
Okay, we'll talk after the show.
You badmouthed my 3 and you picked the 7.
This is just mad respect for Channel Maker. I mean, I'm also wrong on this horse ball all the time. Whenever I fade him, he runs a.
Do what I do. Just all the channels, Maker, Cat, whatever. You just never play them. Once in a while they beat you. Otherwise, you just move on. Pete, we know he didn't take the 3 because of the Italian jockey.
Well, I mean that was a given, right?
He's French bred. He's French bred. You don't like the French either?
Well, he didn't like my 7 in the last race either. You threw him out with Panici on board. I mean, I wasn't even gonna say that tonight, but we
got a lot of new viewers on the show. They're gonna get the wrong impression of me. I'm gonna have like a dead animal in front of my yard tomorrow morning, guys. Come on, give me a break here.
By the way,
I love the Italians for the record. They just these guys give me crap. Whatever. Go ahead.
By the way, Nick has a comment in there about Dynaformer. If my dad's watching, my dad loves just playing Dynaformers in every turf race. So if a Dynaformer wins, he's with you, Nick.
Sorry,
Dynaformer is the sire of the dam of value engineering.
Of value engineering, yeah. So I assume if my father is on his game, then that's who he'll probably be taking.
That horse can run all day, Howard. Yeah, as you pointed out in that replay. Value engineering, they're not going to ride a race too long for that horse.
No.
Lemon Drop.
We didn't really talk about. We gave short shrift to a bond. None of us has a bond. Real quick, guys, we got a little time. None of us put a bond. A bond. Pletcher talked about him on our interview.
Tune in tomorrow.
Tune in tomorrow night. Listen to the Pletcher interview. It'll be on the YouTube channel. Again, for those of you that weren't here earlier, we got a lot of people watching tonight. Thank you so much for watching. If you were not here earlier or you don't follow me on Twitter, we have a half-an-hour interview with one of the best trainers in the world, Todd Pletcher. It's going to come out on YouTube tomorrow, late afternoon, early evening. He gave us half an hour. He talked about horses he has this weekend. He talked about his top 3-year-olds, and he talked about the Eclipse Awards and the horses he has in there. It was a great interview. Paul did a fantastic job. I was part of the interview as well. So check that out tomorrow on YouTube. All right, guys, race 10. This is the last race we're talking about tonight. It is...
by the way, Howard, you didn't want to bring these up with Pletcher on, but I had some terrible stats which sort of drew me away from a bond. You probably didn't want to bring these up in the interview.
Go ahead.
He's a Pletcher Saez combo, which is a funny one. 1 for 21 wins in grade 3 turf routes, for whatever that means for you. And Pletcher 3 for 23, 12 furlongs and up in graded stakes on turf. So he probably didn't mention those in the interview. I'm sure that's not a big topic in the Pletcher barn, but yeah. So that was sort of the reason why I was like, maybe he's on a little bit of a downturn and maybe this isn't Pletcher's favorite thing to do.
He thinks he'll run better. And we should have said that last race we just previewed is the start of the pick 5.
Yeah.
Race 9 is the start of the pick 5. We're going to go over our pick 5 tickets, everyone, tomorrow, Wednesday night. The show starts at 7:30 Eastern. All right, guys, race 10. This is the last race we're going to talk about tonight. It's the last stakes race that is not a Pegasus race. It's also the second leg of the Pick 5. I bring up on the screen. This is the Fred W. Hooper, presented by Whispering Angel. It's a grade 3. This is a flat mile on the dirt. It's a one-turn mile, 150,000. Like I said, it's a grade 3. It's a nice field here. This is a field of 13. Wow. Going 1 mile. The more line favorites, I would, I'm going to say, geez, I don't know. I'm going to say Hoist the Gold. I'm going to say Hoist the Gold. The number 5 will be the more line favorite at 3-1 for Dal Stewart and Brian Hernandez. Who the hell knows? Paul, you are going with Walter and Irad Ortiz. Wait a minute. We got to put you on screen. Hold on a second. What the hell is Paul? He's a black belt. Is that a karate guy? Okay. Okay. Apparently Paul's doing karate. Whatever. Who am I to say? He's going with black belt. This is a very interesting speed horse who is absolutely on fire right now.
Yeah, I'm going with the hot hand. My friend Jim Mazer has a term. He calls it last out winner ignored, LOWI. And this horse is coming off 3 wins, and I do think he may be ignored just because of obviously the class. He ran for, you could have had him for 20,000 2 races ago. But you know what? If you look at that 97 last time out, Howard, you know, the one's got a 97. That's about it, right? No one else has a better number. He is hot. He's a Gulfstream specialist. He's an HFC. This is an acronym race for me. He's an HFC, horse for course. You're going to get the Eclipse Award winning jockey at a big price in a wide open race. I'm going to take a swing for the fence here.
I like your thinking. Can he beat this kind of field? This is a big step up, Paul.
Of course it is. That's why you're going to get a price.
Okay. I like your thinking. And you're going just to the inside of that for second, Paul, with Hoist the Gold, who frankly has faced the best horses, has been in the toughest fields. I guess the biggest question here is the mile.
Yeah, you know, I think he really is a board horse here. You know, I gave him a long look in this race, and as far as maybe picking him, you gotta love Dallas Stewart though, don't you? From Keeneland to Mahoning Valley to Santa Anita to Gulfstream, no problem. Oh, yeah. And Brian Hernandez,
ran well against Taba, Paul. He ran well in that rate.
He did. And Howard, if you look at, you know, Tejano Twister's a pretty good horse. Gunite's a very good horse. We talked about Elite Power, who I voted for as the top sprinter. He's second to Elite Power. It turns out that was a pretty damn good optional claiming race at Saratoga on closing weekend. Yeah, I think that horse is going to be right there.
Okay.
You know, who's going to be the favorite? Your guess is as good as mine, guys.
I've got to look because Noah mentioned I'm a big gallop out guy. I don't recall seeing a great gallop out. Now Noah's got me interested. We'll go ahead and take a look at the Malibu, the end of the race. Hoist the Gold here is the 5 horse. It was a price. Sorry for the clicking here. We'll fast forward. I mean, he was right up. Let's see. He's right there. I thought he was sort of up close and faded. Maybe, I don't know. We'll take a look. If you're wrong here, Noah, we're going to come after you, Noah. Let's see. He said there was a gallop out with the 5, not the 7, that's for sure. Is he right here? Okay.
All right.
I mean, yeah. I don't know if that means he's going to get a mile, though. But sure. He galloped out in front of the winner. Good point, Noah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Very.
I mean, the breeding suggests that there should be a little bit of distance in there. That's what, when I was looking at that one, because I had it in third, but this was like, I had 5 horses that were all sort of on the same level for me in this one. And I thought the breeding here was pretty much top quality. But I did have, maybe this is more of an underneath horse, but I think quality and class wise, this one's right up there. And again, as long as he can, and there isn't going to be a hot pace, and this one's can maybe sit in the middle of it and won't get mixed up and can get a good jump on these horses.
Pete, I have him second, but I got to say, I don't like taking low prices on horses that have done something they've never done before. And again, if this horse was so good going a mile, it also just feels like this is just the best spot they could find at the time, like on a big day. I don't know, but he's a quality horse.
Well, and Hoist the Gold is also entered in the Pegasus, right? Or no?
As an AE, yes.
As an AE, yeah. No,
I'm
not
sure he
most
won't go
likely not getting it in, but still, yeah.
John L. Jackson Jr. John, I believe you're new to the show, at least in the comments. John, thanks for joining the show. John likes black belt. Dallas is a great guy. Yes, he is. He lost horses to his mentor, and he has been on a roll since. John, thanks for the comment. I like Dallas Stewart. He's underrated. Pete, you're going with the. I'm sorry, Paul. Is there anything else you want to mention? You got the 7.
No, just that just Peter Walder is 18% off a win on dirt.
Okay. Yeah, he's one of those guys that when he gets hot, Paul, he's very good. Let's go to your top choice, Pete. You are going with a horse that I looked at carefully, and you know why, because you know I like closers a bit. I just don't know if I mean, this thing would have to completely pace collapse, and maybe it will.
That's where I'm going.
For Noble Drama, David Fox knows what he's doing. He's an 8-year-old. This horse is going to be 15-1, Pete.
I'm all about the old horses today. Apparently,
I guess you are, man.
That's where I'm going. I must be showing my age. Where I'm just maybe we can feature these horses on Early Bird, Paul, on our 3:00 podcast. But I mean, you said it exactly right, Howard. To me, when you look at sort of time form, there's 1, 2, 3, 6, 8 horses with 100 plus, and 3 of them 120 plus. So when I was looking at this one, I said, hey, you know what? You never know. What if what happens two back when it beat Super Corinto, who could have been, didn't have the virus go through the barn, would have been one of the top choices in the Pegasus, apparently.
The little herpes issue.
The little herp. I mean, everybody's had that once in a while.
Is there such thing as a little herpes issue? Isn't every herpes issue a big deal?
It depends when it's up or down, from what I understand. Trust me. I've been around the block a time or two, but I haven't had that, luckily. So I'm
this
good.
show is off the rail tonight. Boy, I need an alcoholic beverage now. All right. Anyway, enough about herpes.
But you're right. I think this one's going to be a huge price. I was probably about 5 deep in potential top choices, so figured, what the hell? I'm going to put this one. I assume it's going to be high odds. 7 for 14 at the distance. What is that? 17 out of 26 at Gulfstream. So definitely a horse for course. And again, if what happened two back where it ran a 98 buyer, which was a total outlier for this horse, but I figure why can't that happen again if this pace just gets crazy hot? And again, there's no world beaters in here. I mean, I like the one, which I'm sure you're going to bring up next potentially, but you got a horse coming off a long layoff, probably the most talented horse, but I don't think there's any, I just don't think there's any world beaters in here. And if everything goes crazy, I'll take a double-digit price.
Do we need to put up a herpes comment? I don't know. It is.
Yeah, why not?
It's from our friend Tom Espinoza. It's always a big deal. It's a big deal all the time. I don't have this horse anywhere. I hope I don't regret it. This is like a Rich Strike kind of thing. If he wins for me, in terms of just everything's got like 10 things have to happen right for this horse.
Well, and Pete, I look at it too. Like
I'm not blaming you for the pick. I just couldn't put this horse on top. But
no, and I think about it more. I think about it more just in the sequence too. Sure. So it's a horse I want to have in the sequence more than maybe a win bet necessarily.
Miles D. I wish I had intel on this horse, Pete. We had chat on the show, but it's not like we're best buddies, and I'm not going to bother him, on these big days. So I don't have intel. I will say this about Miles D. 2 back in the Discovery. I know exactly where I was. I was at an OTB playing in a Hawthorne contest, guys, on that day, and I loved this horse over Speaker's Corner because I didn't think Speaker's Corner would get the distance, and he won for me at 2.6-1 and really helped me in that contest that I ended up doing decent on. I didn't win it, but I did well. This horse is uber talented. I don't think there's any question about it, Pete. The big obvious question is the layoff, but it's Chad, it's Rosario. I still think he'll get a decent price. Just seems like an awfully tough spot for his comeback.
I got a decent stat actually for Chad. Fishing for one was 46% wins, 75% in the money. And it wasn't a super small sample size. It wasn't big, but it was probably close to like 20 something. And first after a 280-day plus layoff in graded stakes on dirt. Just think about that, though.
Wow. You
got horses coming off 9-month plus layoffs, and he's 46% in graded stakes races on dirt, too. It's not like he always good coming off the turf with long layoffs. Is
that on the win end, Pete?
That's on the win end. 46% win, 75% in the money.
And what was the sample size?
I forget. I'd have to look again. I'll look
Okay.
if you guys
Well,
talk a
I
little
got
bit.
Pete. I got a much bigger sample size.
Oh, go ahead.
180 to 365. 6 months to a year layoff. 403 starts. 28% wins.
Yeah, I mean, on the turf, it never matters. I
It's
don't care
insane, by the
if
way.
his
It's-
horses
it's-
are off for 2 years. I'd play him on the turf for some
Yeah.
reason. He just knows what he's doing.
and
Obviously,
he benefits. You benefit when you have owners like Peter Brandt and Robert LaPenta, Howard. They're not going to worry about paying the monthly for a horse to sit around and do nothing like you or I might, Howard.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have seen this act. I'm glad Tom. We got to give Tom Espinoza credit. He had it in the comments about 10 minutes ago. I have seen this story many, many times. And this horse is a straight A for me. Not the more I look at it,
Wow.
a straight A for me in this race.
Wow. Richard Hens said the horse missed 4-year-old season due to a step up in buyer from 3-year-old. I don't know if anyone's due for a step up after almost a year layoff, but I understand your point for sure. Richard, Nick mentioned that he hasn't missed a work since November 14th, FYI. So listen, what odds are we getting here, Pete? Morning line and off odds. What's your guess for each one of those?
I'm gonna say morning line. I'm gonna go 7-2. I think this horse. I thought this horse might be the favorite. Yeah, I thought this horse might be the favorite. I just don't. I don't know who else. I mean,
I was going to say morning line 6-1.
Oh, you thinking that high?
Off odds 9-2.
I think people see the names and maybe not the odds maker. Maybe you're right. Maybe not the morning line odds maker would know better, but I think the bettors would bet this horse down from see the names on there. And I think this horse, by the way, that stat might be completely false. So I apologize if I don't know what the hell I must have been drinking this afternoon, but I'm digging through and I'll let you guys know.
Okay, well, you'll have to explain that because I don't want to give misinformation to our viewers out there.
No,
I'm not sure what you meant by that, but I've got this horse as a B. Let me go to my top choice, and then we'll go ahead and end the show, guys. And again, really appreciate all of you watching tonight. We've got a big show tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern, talking about the 3 Pegasus races. You do not want to miss it. My top choice is Endorsed, and I've had a love-hate relationship with this horse also. Let me give my explanation. I have a lot of Michael Maker love, but I mean, who doesn't? That just shows you how good this guy is, by the way. Because Paul, you mentioned his turf prowess. Yes, this guy can just train. Okay, he can just flat out train. He's done plenty well on dirt too. Endorsed is a 7-year-old. I'm not always a big fan of that in these like sort of sprinty kind of races. Endorsed, we forget how good Endorsed was, guys. He was in the Pegasus last year against Life is Good. It didn't exactly embarrass himself. So, I mean, he was running in big races, just graded stakes all over the place, right? Then he really tailed off, guys. And I thought maybe his career would be done. They even threw him on turf just to see what would happen. But, guys, Michael Maker, has resurrected his career. He took a little break for a few months. He came back. Look who he lost to at Keeneland, guys. Nakatomi is a very nice horse. Nakatomi is a nice horse. They lost going 6.5. And then last time, I thought he ran very well. Now, the field is not nearly as good, but I'm just going to show the replay. He had the inside. He used some tactical speed. You see how he's using. This is a horse you got to shove on. This is not like a push button type. And he did get a good trip, but I love the way he finished here. Here is in the outside. Again, don't get discouraged by the fact he's been ridden so hard. That's how this horse needs to be ridden. And he went by Paco's Pico, and this horse ran very well on, I believe, Sunday. And I'm forgetting the name now, a horse that came back and won well. But there's Endorsed winning. We can show the gallop out, too, if you want. I mean, distance won't be a problem. Let me show the gallop out. Let's see where it is. Okay, maybe we won't because people want to get going for tonight. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to show the gallop out. But that number 4 horse was Paco's Pico. And Paco's Pico just finished second. There it is, the Candyman Rocket, guys. And Candyman Rocket ran a hole in the wind on this past Saturday. So Paco's Pico is a decent horse. I just like the direction this horse is going. He's tactical. He's going to get a clean trip from the outside. He's not going to be stuck inside. I still think there's something left there in the tank. And I think Endorse is going to be middling price. I don't know, 5-1, 6-1, somewhere around there. That's my top pick. I've got Hoist the Gold second for all the reasons we've talked about. I got Miles D third. I don't like the inside speed. There's just way too much speed. Paul, I have some of your better speed horses as Bs, like in case they actually get loose or whatever. I'm pretty deep in this race, but I don't like the speed horses in this spot, Paul.
I don't either. I think it's kind of a trip type race, Howard. Well, let me say this. It depends on who the speed is.
Okay.
I think that the 6 and 7 both have pretty good speed from out there, and I picked the 6. So I think the 7 is going myself, but that's why I think the more I look at it, the 1 could get the trip. But if you get into it falling apart, I mean, the Reds ran in a 1.5 mile stakes 2 races back against Riding with Biden, who was in the Pegasus, I believe, right? I
got the Reds as a C, by the way. I don't think he's absolutely impossible.
No,
if the pace collapses, turning back, I like that.
At probably a good number, right? Coming off that last race, and that last race, you look at the numbers, 7, 6, 5, he missed by 3/4 of a length in 4th. I mean, that happens on turf all the time. Oh, yeah. It doesn't often happen on dirt.
Hey, Pete, by the way, Jose Kamikado. Hola, Jose. ¿Cómo estás, man? Thanks for joining the show from Venezuela. Man, I love it. We need to get some more South American viewers. Jose, thank you very much. Please spread the word, man. So, me gusta los caballos. So, bring them on.
The horse I'm against, Howard, is I'm against the 12 prevalence, who I think is going to take money.
Yeah, let's talk about this horse then in the show. This horse, boy. I remember Brian Nadeau being completely against this horse, guys, last month, if you remember. This horse is weird. I mean, I don't know what the story is. He could win or he could lose by 50. Like, I thought he would run a big race last time. He was absolutely awful, but he is capable on the right day if he's got his mind right. I don't know. What's the story, Pete, with this horse? I don't get it.
And I didn't really feel like paying to figure it out. So I was, this was a toss for me because of what you said. I mean, yeah, if you go 4 and 5 back, those races can easily win this race. But I mean, look at those last 3. I just don't know. I mean, you could forgive yourself maybe in the Churchill Downs, I don't know, but even 38 lengths, that's ridiculous. I don't care who the hell's in front of you. And then that allowance race with the, finishing 4th at almost even money, 6-5, whatever that is. And then that last one, I just can't do it. If that horse wins, I'm going to have to, I think it's going to be a toss for me.
Herbierto Suero, thanks. We got the Hispanic viewers comment. I love it. Quiero ganar. I want to win. I think I said that right. And if I said it wrong, I greatly apologize. So I believe I said that correct.
Hey, Howard, can I just say one quick thing on that stat so we don't let the people go?
Here's what Tom said, by the way. Tom Espinoza, it's got a brisk stat, 90-plus days, 27% win, 61% in the money, 678 sample size. You want to clarify as we on the show for you, Pete?
Yeah, it was just the mistake was it wasn't in graded stakes. It was actually going a mile, 280 days plus going a mile on dirt. He was 11 for 24 wins and 18 for 24 in the money. So
okay,
has shown a proficiency, maybe not at grading stakes level, but I don't, this isn't exactly the Pegasus here. So I'm not too. And the one thing about Endorsed, you were saying, the only question I had about that horse was the 0 for 7 wins at the distance and like the 1 for 19 the last 2 years. For some reason, that horse just doesn't like to get his nose at the wire. So that was because he was in the mix in my top 5. And I was like, if I'm going to drop somebody out of my top 3, I'm going to take a horse out who doesn't seem to like to win.
I don't love him, but I've got prevalence as a C, guys. I am not going to let this horse beat me out of a monster pick 4 or 5. I am not going to let him do it. He's got 98 and 99 buyer. If he can find it somehow, I don't want him to win it 12-1 and knock me out. Paul, Pete, great show tonight. We really went into details. I think we helped out a lot of people. Again, the viewership was awesome. Really quick, please don't leave the show if we got one more minute here. Again, Paul and myself interviewed Todd Pletcher for half an hour. He gave us a lot of time. Really appreciate it. The interview is going to be on our YouTube channel tomorrow, Wednesday, late afternoon, early evening, probably right before our shows. We have a show tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern, and then Bettin Boozin is on at 9. We have no shows on Thursday. Thursday night is the Eclipse Awards. Please watch those Eclipse Awards on Thursday night, but watch all of our shows, including the Todd Pletcher exclusive interview, which, of course, you can watch at any time, but it'll be on the YouTube channel Wednesday. Pete and Paul, any final thoughts going to tomorrow's 3-race Pegasus show?
I was just going to say, hopefully you guys talk Todd into giving us a shout out when he's on stage collecting his Eclipse Award on Thursday. He could say, this is all thanks to the HHH Racing podcast. But seriously, I think it's a great card. I'm sad I'm going to be missing tomorrow's show when you guys talk about the big ones, but maybe I'll send in my pick 5 just so so people aren't on the edge of their seat wondering what it is. But my son's going to be in a show, so I'll be there watching instead. So good luck to you guys tomorrow, and good luck to everybody this weekend. Great card. Looks like a great day to make some money. I feel like this pick 5 could be paying balloons if you get just a couple of the right ones in.
Could be. Pete's got a family obligation. Family always comes first. We wish your son a wonderful time tomorrow night. By the way, John L. Jackson. John, you're going to be there at the pool party Saturday.
Beautiful.
John, I love it, man. I look forward to seeing you at the pool party Saturday. And finally, from Nick Feldman, hope everyone's a great Saturday. I'll be shredding nar, pow, pow at Lake Tahoe. Good luck to everyone. Final thoughts, Paul. I'll let you wrap up the show.
No, I do encourage people to listen to the Pletcher interview. I think it's insightful. I think it was good of him to do. And I do think I assume it's a great card. I've only gotten 4 races deep because that was my homework for tonight. So I have to do my homework for tomorrow night now.
I've handicapped all the stake races thoroughly. I need to look through races 1 through 5 and race 7 because, as many people know, not everyone, I am playing in the Pegasus World Betting Championship. I qualified for it last year. It's Saturday. It's a $6,000 entry fee. It's $4,000 of live money, guys. I'm going to have someone who I heard is pretty good at contests next to me, giving me any kind of advice and talking, the one and only Matt Miller. So I am super pumped. This is a chance to win. I think first prize is going to be about 100,000, guys. And I'm not going to sit
here. Is it just the Gulfstream? The Gulfstream races 1 through
yes,
1 through
just
13?
Gulfstream races, all of them. And there's minimums. So I'm going to be launching into some, and I love. Actually, my favorite horse of the entire weekend of Saturday is tomorrow. We'll talk about this horse tomorrow. I am infatuated with this horse. It's a female horse. I've already sent her love letters and some peppermints. I love a horse tomorrow that we will talk about in race 11.
Hey, Paul, if
I know who it is. I think I know who it is.
Paul, if Howard wins on Saturday, you think maybe we'll be able to do $100 plus pick 5s next week?
I'll boost it up to 105.
105, 110 maybe next week?
No, I don't think we will, Pete.
Yeah.
But I know one thing. I have a hall pass.
That's true. That
from
is very
Professor
true.
Miller.
That is very true.
You do. For my great friends and hosts, Pete Visco and Paul Halloran, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 223 of the HHH Racing Podcast. Please join us tomorrow for our live shows, for the Pletcher interview video, and good luck, everyone, in your undercard stake races on Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.